A very fine morning, my dear students. Hope you all will be fine by the grace of God. Before starting today's lecture, let us recall what we have studied in our previous lecture. In our previous lecture, we have studied about Newton's universal law of gravitation, uniform circular motion, Earth's gravitational acceleration, etc. In today's lecture, we will study about variation in value of g, mass and weight, gravitational waves, free fall, and some numerical problem, etc. Children, whatever the omitted portion is there due to COVID problem, I'll let you know by audio so that you will cancel out. Let us watch a video, children. Here is a video regarding the variation in the value of g. In this, we will see, children, that our g the value of g is not same everywhere on the surface of the earth. Why? Because the shape of the earth is not exactly spherical. So, the distance of a point on the surface of the earth from its center is different at different places. Due to its rotation, the earth bulges at the equator, bulges mean coming out, and it is flatter at the poles. So, its radius is largest at the equator and smallest at the pole. Therefore, the value of g is highest, that is 9.832 meter per second square at the poles, and decreases slowly with decreasing latitude, its lowest at the equator, that is 9.78. So this was change along the surface of the earth. Now let us see change with the height. As we go above the surface of the earth, the value of r in equation 5 increases and the value of g decreases. So the decrease is rather small for the heights which are small in comparison. For example, we can see that the radius of the earth is 6400 kilometer. If an plane is flying at the height of 10 kilometer, then the total radius will become, distance will become 6410, and the change in the value of g due to it will be negligible. Same way, when we consider an artificial satellite which is orbiting the earth, we have to take into account that change in the value of g is due to large change of the distance of the satellite, so from the center of the earth, and some typical heights and the value of g are given here in one table. So now, children, let us start with explanation part. Let us start from the variation of g. So first topic we have covered. Now second, change with the height. We have seen this is the change with the height, and here is the variation of g, change with the surface. Now let us see the table. Table is given is here, children, that you have to see. This is the table. You can check that whatever height is given there, then what is the value of g that is given in this table. This table is showing the change of g with the height above the surface of the earth. Now let us see the change with the depth. The value of g also changes if we go inside the earth. So the value of r in equation 5. Now what is equation 5, children? That you have see g is equal to gm upon r square. So this is equation 5. So in this, if we will see that it decreases the r in the equation 5, if it decreases, we should think that the value of g should increase according to formula. However, the part of the earth which contribute toward the gravitational force felt by the object also decreases. It means that the value of m to be used in equation 5, this m, so also decreases. So as a combined result, the change in R and M, the value of G decreases as we go deep inside the Earth. So here every planet and satellite has different mass and radius. Therefore, according to the equation 6, now what is equation 6, children? Let us see. Equation 6 is, this was the fifth equation. Sixth equation is G is equal to Gm upon R square. This is equation 6. So here, according to the equation 6, the value of G on their surface is different. On the moon, it is about 1/6 of the value of on the earth. As a result, we use the same amount of force. We can jump 6 times higher on the moon as compared to the earth. So this point you have to underline. Now, every planet and satellite had different mass and radius. According to the equation 6, the value of G on their surface is different. And on the moon, it is about 1/6 of the value of Earth. So that already explained. Now, I think you might have understood this. This always you have to keep in consideration that on the moon, this point is very, very important. On the moon, it is about 1/6 of the value of on the earth. Now, mass and weight. Mass is the amount of matter which is present in the object. So that point you have to underline. The SI unit of mass is kilogram, and mass is a scalar quantity. Its value is same everywhere wherever we go. Its value does not change when we go to another planet also. According to Newton's first law, it is measure of the inertia of the object. Inertia already you have studied in 9th standard. So higher is the mass if inertia is higher. Let us see the weight. The weight of an object is defined as the force with which, this full you have to underline. Now, with which the earth attracts the object. The force F on an object of the mass m on the surface of earth is written as W is equal to F, and F is equal to mg, while the G is equal to Gm upon R square. Weight being a force, its SI unit is Newton. So this is also very important, you have to underline. Now, the weight being a force, it is a vector quantity because it has the direction towards the center of the earth as well as magnitude. So, as the value of G is not same everywhere, the weight of an object changes from place to place. Sometimes we use the weight for both mass and weight and measure the weight in kilograms, which is the unit of mass. But in scientific language, when we say that Rajiv's weight is 75, we talk about Rajiv's mass. We mean that Rajiv's weight is equal to the gravitational force on 75 kilogram mass. So Rajiv mass is, if it is 75 kilogram, his weight on earth will be F is equal to mg. So 75 into 9.8 equal to 735 Newton. Now, children, here let us see one example is given here. See this example, children. If a person weighs 750 Newton on Earth, how much would be his weight on the moon, given that the moon's mass is 1 upon 81 of that of the Earth and its radius is 1 upon 3.7 of that of the Earth? Weight on the Earth is 750 Newton, while the ratio of the mass of the Earth, that we denote by capital ME, that means mass of the Earth, to the mass of the moon, that means capital M, denoted by M, that is mass of the moon. So ME upon M, if we'll write, it will become 81. Same way, ratio of the radius of Earth RE to the radius of moon, it will be RM. So RE upon RM, it will become 3.7. Now let us see the person B, M kilogram. Weight on the earth, if it is mg 750, then it, according to the formula M, we can see here formula, children. According to this formula, M capital G M E upon R E whole square. Therefore M will become 750 R E square upon G M E. So we can see here that 750 upon RE whole square, 750 into RE whole square upon GME. GME is the mass of the earth here, ME is the mass of the earth, into GMM upon RM whole square. It will become 750 R square E upon RM whole square into MM upon ME equal to 750 into, we will put the value 3.7 whole square into 1 upon 81. So it will become altogether 126.8 Newton. Children, from this we can conclude that the weight on the moon is nearly 1 upon 6 of the weight on the earth. We can write the weight on moon as mgm. Thus, Gm is the 1/6 of the G on Earth. Now, gravitational waves. We'll see this. Waves are created on the surface of the water. If we drop a stone, we can see the waves are creating. So, waves are generated on string when both its ends are held in the hand and it is shaken. Same way, light is also a type of the wave, that is called the electromagnetic waves. Then gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet rays, infrared, microwave and the radio waves, all are different types of the electromagnetic waves only. In astronomical objects, they also emit the waves and we receive them by using the instrument. So, all our knowledge about the universe is also obtained through these waves only. Gravitational waves are a very different type of the waves. They are called the waves of the fabric of space-time. So, this you have to underline. That what are the gravitational waves? Einstein predicted their existence in 1961. Now, Einstein predicted their existence in 1916. These waves are very weak and they are also very difficult to detect. So, scientists have constructed extremely sensitive instruments to detect the gravitational waves, which were emitted by the astronomical sources. Among these, we can see that LIGO, that are laser interferometric gravitational waves observatory. These waves coming from an astronomical source, and Indian scientists have contributed significantly in this discovery. Now, children, we will see the next topic, that is free fall. So let us see our next topic, that is free fall. So you have to take a small stone and you have to hold in the hand. Which force are acting on this stone, and if you release it, then what happen, that all we'll see here. So we know that the force of gravity due to the earth acts on each and every object. So when we are holding the stone in our hand, the stone was experiencing this force, but it was balanced by a force that we were applying on it in the opposite direction. So as a result, the stone remained in the rest position. Now, when we release the stone from our hand, the only force that acts on it is the gravitational force of the earth, and the stone falls down under the influence of gravitational force. So, whenever an object moves under the influence of the force of gravity alone, it is said to be the falling freely. So, the release stone is in the free fall. In free fall, the initial velocity of the object is 0. That means u is 0 and goes on increasing due to acceleration or due to gravity on the earth. During free fall, the frictional force due to air opposes the motion of the object, and a buoyant force. Buoyant force is exerted by the air that acts on the object. So, true free fall is possible only when it is vacuum. Vacuum means no air is there. So, for a freely falling object, the velocity on reaching the earth and the time taken for it can be calculated by using Newton's equation of motion. For free fall, the initial velocity u is 0 and the acceleration a is equal to g. So, we can write the following equation. Let us see here, children. Children, here we will underline some points. These are all points here to underline, what I am underlining. This is very important point, that true free fall is possible only in vacuum. Let us see the equation, children. This is v is equal to g into t. V is the final velocity, equal to g is gravitational force into t is time. This is first one. Second one is s is equal to half gt square. So s is the distance, half into g, and g is the time, g is the gravitational force. V square is equal to 2gs. That already I told. V is the final velocity, 2 into g is the gravitational force, s is the distance. For calculating the motion of an object thrown upward, acceleration is negative. Why? Because the gravitational force is towards downward, na? And the thing is going upward. So, but naturally it will be in the opposite direction. Therefore, it is denoted by minus g. When the thing is going upward or object is going upward, that time it will be minus g. The magnitude of g is same, but the velocity of the object decreases because of its negative acceleration. Negative acceleration means minus g. So the moon and the artificial satellites are also moving under the influence of gravitational force of the earth, so they are in free fall. Let us see, children, this topic that the value of g is same for all the object at a given place on the earth. So any two object irrespective of their masses mean if one thing is 10 kilogram, the other thing is 5 kilogram, if we drop from the same height, they fall freely and they will reach at the same time at the earth. Now, Galileo is said to have performed an experiment around 1590 in the Italian city of Pisa. He dropped two spheres of different masses from leaning tower of the Pisa to demonstrate that both spheres reached the ground at the same time. So, this you have to underline. That who performed experiment? Galileo. When you drop a feather and a heavy stone at the same time from a height, they do not reach the earth at the same time. The feather experiences a buoyant force. You know this force due to air, so that already or lightness of the feather. So air and a frictional force due to air, and therefore floats and reaches to the ground slowly. But the stone reaches early. That means feather reaches later than the stone. The buoyant and the frictional force on the stone are much less than the weight of the stone and does not attract the speed that does not affect the speed of the stone much. So therefore now scientists has recently performed this experiment in the vacuum, and what they consider, they showed that the feather and the stone indeed reaches the earth at the same time. Let us see, children. Here is one example. This is first example. Let us see now. An iron ball of mass 3 kg is released from a height of 125 meter and falls freely to the ground. Assuming that the value of g is 10 meter per second square, we have to calculate first time taken by the ball to reach the ground, second velocity of the ball on reaching the ground, third the height of the ball at half the time it takes to reach the ground. Now what is given here? M is 3 kg, distance traveled by the ball S is 125 meter, initial velocity of the ball U is 0, and acceleration A is but natural equal to G, equal to 10 meter per second square. So first one, let us see. So here these all things are given here, children. These all you have to note down. These are given here. We have to apply this equation. S is equal to ut plus half at square. How we will calculate? Let us see. Therefore 125 S is 125 equal to 0 into t, because u initial velocity is 0. So this initial velocity is 0 plus half into 10 into t square. So it will become 10 divided by 2, it will become 5t square. So t square will become 125, 5 we will take this side, so it will become 125 upon 5 and equal to 25. So time will be t square is 25, therefore t will be equal to 5 seconds. 5 5 is 25. So the ball takes 5 seconds to reach the ground. This is the first answer. Let us see the second one, children. According to Newton's first law equation of motion, final velocity is equal to v is equal to u plus at. So u is 0 here. U initial velocity is 0 plus 10 into 5 equal to 50 meter per second. So the velocity of ball on reaching the ground is 50 meter per second. Let us see now. Now half time if we will take, then t will become 5 upon 2 equal to 2.5 s. Ball's height at this time s is equal to s. So according to Newton's second law equation, s is equal to ut plus half at square. We have to take this equation. Now let us see s is equal to 0 plus 1 upon 2 10 into 2.5 whole square, because t is 2.5 here, so it will become 31.25 meter. Thus the height of the ball half time will be equal to 125 minus 31.25 equal to 93.75 meter. This is the answer, children. Let us see the second example, children. This is the second example, children. A tennis ball is thrown up and reaches a height of 4.05 meter before coming down. What was its initial velocity? How much total time will it take to come down? We had to assume g is equal to 10 meter per second square. So here what is given, children? For the upward motion of the ball, the final velocity of the ball v is equal to 0. Distance traveled by the ball is 4.05 meter. Acceleration a is equal to minus g equal to minus 10 meter per second square. Using the Newton's third law equation of motion, we will see here what is the third equation. Children, v is equal to u square plus 2as. So here it will a will be z. So 0 equal to u square plus 2 into minus 10 into 4.05. So u square will become 81. When we multiply this all things, it will become 81. So therefore it will become u is equal to 9 meter per second. So the initial velocity of the ball is 9 meter per second. Now let us consider the downward motion of the ball. Suppose the ball takes t seconds to come down. So now the initial velocity of the ball is 0. That means u is equal to 0. Distance traveled by the ball on reaching the ground is 4.05 meter. As the velocity and the acceleration are in the same direction, so a is equal to g equal to 10 meter per second. So according to Newton's second law equation of motion, s is equal to ut plus half at square. So here, children, 4.05 is the s equal to 0 plus half 10t square. So t square will become 4.05 upon 10 divided by 2 will be 5. So 4.05 upon 5, it will become 0.81. So t will become 0.9 seconds. So this is your answer. Now what answer we will write? The ball will take 0.9 second to reach the ground. It will take the same time to go up. So total time taken is 2 into 0.9 equal to 1.8 second. So here I am ending my lecture, children, because now we will whatever other left topic are there, that will consider in the next lecture. Now few two topics are mostly left, and then we will consider about the solved example. So that all we study in the next topic, next lecture, children. Hope you all might have understood what I taught. Now see each and every line. You have to study thoroughly and see. If any doubt is there, you can message me, but you message once, because nowadays I am little bit busy, children. So please, whatever your doubts are there, that you can clear your doubts, and whatever important point are there, that you have to write in your notebook. Thank you, children.